So know about CuseCon?
CuseCon? Where's that?
Syracuse, New York.
That makes sense.
Hey guys, I'm Tim.
I'm Bob.
I'm Mike.
And this is a Board Game Rundown, and today we're going to do top 5 games we played at CuseCon.
Woo!
Where is that?
Where is
Syracuse, New York.
There we go. We got it.
That makes
sense.
sense.
That makes sense. Apropos of nothing.
That's right.
Anyways, first of all, CuseCon is basically like a 500-person convention put on by Mike Guigliano and friends. And I say and friends because I know he has other people helping him.
Yes.
And they deserve a lot of credit because this convention was amazing.
Yes.
It's year 5
Yes.
of them doing it. And this was our first year going. We had the opportunity to go, spend the whole weekend there in, Syracuse, New York. I almost said beautiful. It's fine.
It's nice.
Pick all the fights with people.
Yeah, no kidding.
Hey, the Finger Lakes were amazing.
They were.
But no, this small con, and it was the best time. It was just sit and play games. There's meta games. They had a few vendors there. They had play-to-wins. They really provided an amazing atmosphere for people to just hang out and play games.
I don't know if this is good to say or not, but it reminds me of Geekway
When it was good?
of old.
Yeah.
Yes.
When it was good.
Yeah.
I'll say it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's bad now, but
it was better then.
It was better then. I mean, it might just be, nostalgia speaking or whatever, but back when it was a little bit smaller, I enjoyed it a lot more.
Yes. So just a shout out to anybody that was there.
Involved with that.
Y'all were awesome.
Yeah,
We
nice
had the
work.
best time. And we'll do some honorable mentions with some of our experiences after the fact. But we are here to talk about board games.
We are.
Top 5 games we played. There's probably going to be crossover, but that's all right because we played some games together. So, Bobby,
Yeah.
get us rolling.
All right, my number 5. Slight curveball here. My number 5 was more than just one game. I actually got to sit at a table with 4 published designers playing a bunch of their prototypes. And we would play a couple of rounds. We would talk about rules, change the rule, keep playing. And then
It's so cool.
it's so
isn't it?
cool. That was one of the coolest things. I wanted to get that out there. I had a fantastic time doing that. Yuval and Reed, off the top of my head, Brandon was there
Yep.
also. And yeah, it was a ton of fun. That's one of my big things is I love playing games, tweaking rules, trying to figure out the best way to do something. And I had a great time doing it.
At Origins, not this year, but last year.
Yes, I remember you guys
that
talking
dev
about
session,
that.
dude.
That-
It feels so good, doesn't it?
I was so jealous. Man, I should have stayed awake till 4 a.m. doing that.
You should have, because how good was that experience you had?
It was fantastic.
It's
So
amazing.
yeah, it was a good time.
Well, that's a great number 5.
Yep.
But unlike Bob, I have a real game.
Sure.
At my number 5.
Okay.
And I know you like this game. Mm-hmm. West sort of voluntold me that I was going to play Hansa Teutonica with him and
Finally.
Marcus.
Thank you, West.
Holy crap, that game's really good.
I told you.
I mean, you are. It is basically it's like olden times Germany, for lack of a very specific time period, and you are developing the postal routes, right? The carrier routes, and you've got so many actions on your turn. You're taking those actions. You're filling up things on the board. You're filling up tracks on the board. As an action, you can pull them off. It might give you a trading post. It might unlock something else on your board.
Your player board. Yep. It's the first one that introduced me to the bumping mechanic.
It's so good. It's got an excellent bumping mechanic. Hansa Teutonica, right now, I would say, because I know what I'm going to do is find that big box version.
Yes.
And just get that.
That's the way to do it. I've been trying to cram all the extra maps into my small normal box version.
I was really worried that game was going to feel really dry and not super exciting.
Dated.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it came out a long time ago.
It did.
It holds up.
It did, but I mean, I played it twice. I played it with West and Marcus, and then I played it with West, Marcus, and Shannon, and they taught her. I did way worse the second time, but I wasn't paying enough attention to some of the end game objectives.
Sure.
And but it doesn't matter. I had an amazing time. The game felt very satisfying. Check out Hansa Teutonica. It's a really cool game.
It is
It's very
great.
fun.
Yep.
All right, Mike.
My number 5 is Dark Moon.
Oh, baby.
Dark Moon, it's one of my favorite social deduction games. It's really kind of a semi-co-op because you are pretending to help the good side when you're an infected player. Basically, all of the players are stranded on the Dark Moon of Saturn, and we're working together to repair our ship so that we can fly back to Earth. But 2 players are infected, and they're not going to help quite as much.
And of course, when we played, West had to be one of the infected.
Me and
That's
Wes were
hilarious.
the infected players, so it was just so much fun. Just kind of seeing what I could get away with Wes during that game. One of the things I love so much about this game is that the tension just starts immediately because you have to roll dice behind your screen. 4 out of the 6 sides of your dice are negative, but you have to submit a positive number to successfully repair the ship. Even though the odds are stacked against you, the moment somebody puts a negative die on that ship, the accusations start flying. And I love that. It makes the game so tense right from the start.
Yes.
And this is a game where if you're an infected player, you have the opportunity to reveal and get like these super damaging effects, but you want to hold on to those as long as you can because you can be more damaging by subtly not repairing the ship and submitting those negative dice when you have positive dice behind your screen. I love this game. I played it for years, and just getting to play it with the group we got to play it with was a blast.
Also, a really cool thing happened while we were playing it. The designer walked by and said, "This game sucks."
Yeah, he did. Evan Derrick was at CuseCon, and there was one point we actually had a rules question. West walked on over to him and just asked him the question.
Oh my gosh,
answered for us.
It was so cool. And again, he was super nice.
Yep.
It was very cool. I love it when that stuff happens. And again, only at small conventions, right?
Yep.
You know, where you don't see it coming.
Yep.
Awesome. Great pick.
Yeah, I'm glad you had to play that, Mike. You've been talking about the game a lot and wanting to play it, so I'm glad you got to.
Now, Bob, do you actually have a game for your number 4?
I do. Number 4. My number 4 is actually a game. It's not quite out yet, so we'll call it the Tim Hipster pick.
Let's go.
But How to Save a World.
Oh, yes.
So they got the initial pre-production copies in, so it had the acrylic
Comet
in there. It had the dual-layer player boards and all the appropriate pieces, the
All the
accoutrements
things.
that go with that.
Yes.
And it was fantastic. It was a great play. I didn't do very good at it, but I don't even care. It was still fun. And I think West was in on that. I think we got to play with Yuval.
You've all taught it.
Yeah,
right?
Yuval taught it. That's right. And I think
The designer.
Reed played in his
it with
place.
us.
And then there was one more person that was with us, drawing a blank. Sorry
Don't
about that.
remember.
But still, fun altogether, though.
Because it all ran together. I could
It
look
was
at
so
my
blurry.
phone.
I
but-
could totally look at my phone because I kept track of that stuff.
Right. No, that's a great pick.
Yeah,
Super fun game. And
it
it
was
looks
fun.
beautiful. I'm
does.
really excited for Sean Jockerman and Yuval to get that out.
Yeah.
And, as the backers start to get that.
One of the
it's gonna be
cool
really
tidbits about that is I was able to give them the input. So finally, I'm hoping they're going to listen. The green and black cubes that go in the bag, like green for one, and the black, they were both semi-transparent, and they look very similar
So
to
if
me.
you've got
at a
color
hard time.
issues.
Yes, and so I was able to point that out and say, hey, you should just make those black ones opaque. Then it's easy to tell which ones are the black ones, and the other ones are green, and then there's no more color issues whatsoever. And so I think that in the final production copy, they're going to switch to that. So
That's
that will
awesome.
help that colorblind issue.
That game is
awesome.
fantastic. That is a 2025 release to keep your eyes out for.
Yeah,
For
really
real.
good.
Yeah.
Really fun. All right, my number 4 you can buy now. So it's not a Tim Hipster pick, despite the cool hat. I got to play with a large group of people. We got to play with Alan and his wife because they came in. They traveled, I think, the farthest because they
Really?
came from out of
Costa Rica.
country. Yeah,
Oh,
Costa
wow,
Rica.
yeah, that's.
But we played We're Sinking. And We're Sinking has sort of got this fun bluff mechanic because you're going to say, everybody's going to discuss what action they want to do. You're going to assign it to your wheel and you're going to put it face down where you say you're going to be. And then you reveal and then you actually move your
To where it actually is.
to where it actually is. And then you get to do the thing. So there's this really fun semi-co-op because there's really only going to be one winner. If you defeat the monster before they sink your ship, if you got the most treasure, you win. If the ship sinks, but you have the least amount of treasure, you're the lightest, you win. So really cool, and there's some interesting tiebreakers in there too, like a way to keep that nice and easy. We will have a video for We're Sinking where we play it, we talk about it.
Yeah, I saw you guys. I could hear you guys playing, and literally you're having a bunch of fun over there.
Well, I mean, come on, we were always the rowdy table. We're always the loud table. It's gonna happen, but guess what? We were having fun, and everybody that sat at a table with us, almost everybody probably had a lot of fun. I don't want to speak for everybody, but most people had a lot of fun. But We're Sinking, my number 4.
Nice. One of my new favorite components is that big chunky pirate ship, and as it fills with water, you take off the bottom, then you take off the second layer, so the ship looks like it's going further into the water as it gains water.
That's so cool.
It looks so great. My number 4 is published by The Op, and it's Stock Exchange.
Oh, you finally got to play it?
I finally got to play it. I was not in that review, and I like spatial puzzles, and I like market manipulation. This is both. And so basically you're putting these chunky wooden bits out onto the market, and then you can either exchange those with some hidden ones you have behind your screen, or you can add them to the dirt when they get surrounded. The surrounded ones, if they are the same, they go on the market. The further they go up, the more they are worth. So you are trying to increase the worth of the chips that you have behind your screen. But you don't want to have the most of the ones that go highest on the track, because it's going to crash the market essentially, and those chips are only worth half at the end of the game.
So smart.
So you really want the ones that are worth the second most, because they'll be worth the most.
It's very smart.
It's so smart. It's a really cool kind of multiple things going on at once with this market and this spatial puzzle, and not being too obvious about what you're trying to do so that people can't crash what you're collecting behind your screen.
Yep. I'm glad you got to play that, because when we reviewed it, I said Michael really liked this game. And it was on your Gen Con to look out for.
It was, and when we were done, I wanted to play it again immediately. That's a sign of a good game.
And it plays really fast.
Yes.
Even with Teach.
Yep.
It plays really fast. It's a great game.
All right. So that is going to take us to number 3. So my number 3 is a game I think it's been out a long time. One of Karen Holla's favorite games.
Okay.
She introduced it to me. But Istanbul, the dice game.
Oh.
Yeah, I had never played. I played Istanbul before, and it was okay.
Now wait, is it a reprint of Constantinople?
It might be. You'll have to ask the Giants.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's nobody's business but the Turks.
That's true. This is true. But no, it's a great little dice game. So you're rolling dice and you're gaining the resources off them. You can spend those dice right away to either trade them in to get these rubies, or you're trading them in to build up like your engine, and those are going to give you either extra dice or extra abilities you can do on your turn. And you kind of keep passing the dice around, and you're rolling them. You're trying to gain rubies. You get enough of the rubies to win, and that's it. But it was just a really, I don't know. It's almost, I don't want to say roll and write-ish, but it's like a roll and take goods-ish. Like engine building, rolling.
That's all right. That feels good. Roll dice, get a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
That always feels good.
Yeah, it was super enjoyable. I actually looked for a copy of it, and I have one on the way. So
nice.
Yeah, it was really good.
Nice. Speaking of which, I'm doing that. I haven't done it yet, but I'm definitely doing it with my number 3. So this game's really good. If you played it at 4 a.m. and you're tired, and it's 4 a.m. on the last day of the con, and you're like, this game's awesome. So it's an Oink Games. I was torn between like 3 that I played, and any of them could have been on the list. I picked this one because this one was the most unique for me. It's called The Tiger and the Dragon.
Okay.
And it's a domino game. And it's got these beautiful chunky dominoes, and you're bidding. It's sort of like a game I'll talk about later, but like there's a 1-1 domino, and there's it goes up to 8, and there's 8 of those. So you get your dominoes. Everybody's got like a full pile of them, and you lead with one, right? So I lead with a 7. If you can't match a 7, you have to pass. It goes around the table. If it comes all the way back to me and nobody's played a 7, I get that round. I take one of my dominoes and I put it face down, and that's a bonus point. And then I lead again. You're trying to get rid of all of your dominoes. If you played a 7, right? I play a 7, then you play a 7. Now you're going to lead. And that starts the new round. Does that make sense?
A little bit.
And you go around until you've gotten rid of all of your dominoes. And then you score your points once one person's gotten rid of all their dominoes. So you're going to get your bonus points. And then there's some other scoring things. So you can get bonus points also if the last domino you played was like an 8, because it's harder to get all the way around without, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your last one showing, right? So it's easier, or it's worth fewer points because if you play like a lower number, because it's easier to get
There's
through.
not as many of them.
It was very cool. I
Interesting.
had some old neighborhood kind of vibes because we're like, wash the dominoes, you
Yeah,
know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? And I was playing with some dudes that were very cool.
That's surprising. I mean, you're talking Oink Games. That box had to be like this big.
No, it was bigger than a regular Oink
Okay.
Games box.
I was gonna say
But,
like every one I've seen has been tiny.
Mike Pitry from Pentree Games, they did On the Rocks. I was playing with him and I think his brother and then some other dudes. And they taught me the game and everything. And then I messaged him like last week and was like, where can I find this game? And it's an Oink game. And I was
Okay.
like, dang, it's really good. So
Okay.
Tiger and the Dragon. Really nice components.
My number 3 is another drafting game. It is Panda Royale.
Oh, good.
So Panda Royale, this is a dice drafting game. So a whole bunch of dice are put into the middle, all different colors and different ways to score. And in turn order, you're just going to take one of those dice. You're drafting a dice scoring engine. Every different color of die has a different way of scoring, and you are just building up this scoring engine. It starts really quick and really simple. By the time you get to the end and you're rolling 10 dice, you know, you go from scoring single digits to sometimes triple digits on your turn, and just that build up is incredibly satisfying. I love chucking dice. I like games with player interaction where someone can take a die from me. You add all that, and I had a lot of fun with Panda Royale.
I like this game the more that I play it, and I'm still really bad at it, which is fine. But it's really cool because
Yeah.
you try these different colored die strategies. You
Yeah.
score points in different ways. So
Again,
good
a
pick.
slight color issue with that one for me. I wish maybe because the blue and purple are kind of tough. Like maybe
Sure.
make the blue ones opaque, you know, instead of
Oh,
because
right.
they're all like kind of the semi-transparent. And when you do that with those colors, there's like not enough coloring in there for me to make the
Sure.
distinction between some of the dice.
Sure, but aren't the purples like only D20s, or is that green?
No, it's greens are only
never
20s.
mind then.
That's why it didn't matter. They were green and red, but the greens are only 20s, and
Right.
and there are no red 20s, so it was easy
right.
for me.
Totally
to
fair.
Yeah.
Totally fair.
With every die giving you a totally different way to score, there's a lot of replayability in this box, as you could try a totally different strategy each
Yep.
time.
Yep, 100%.
Nice.
All right.
Takes
Time
us
for-
down to number 2. My number 2, I talk about this game any chance I get. I was about to play Dark Moon with everybody else when I was asked by a great friend to play Downfall of Pompeii, and so Downfall of Pompeii got played.
I couldn't even give you a hard time about it
It's like-
because it's like, no, you need to go play Downfall of Pompeii.
Yeah, and apparently she used to like work for them, and they had like a big carpet version that you could get. And so I had mentioned how I was gonna try to make a large version of it, and she was saying how they used to have one back in the day. When they would take to shows and things
sure.
like that. So she's like, you really ought to do that because it's a ton of fun. So we start saving them money and
go.
try to build something. I think it'll be a ton of fun because I mean, Downfall of Pompeii I talk about it all the time. Not going to go too far into it, but
good.
it's so satisfying to chuck your friend into a volcano.
Well, I mean, it's basically like the first half of the game, you're seeding the board, and the second
Yep.
half of the game, you're drawing tiles and placing them as you're trying to get your players out, your pieces that you seeded the board without to score points.
before the lava runs over them.
It's so good. Yeah, you can find it all the time, super cheap. Just keep your eyes open.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's an
it
older
goes on
game,
sale.
but yeah,
So good.
Ages well, it's a great game.
yeah.
Okay, so my number 2, we talked about an op game earlier with Stock Exchange, and they have legit 3 hits that came out this year because you got Gnome Hollow, not on my list, but I didn't play it there. You got Stock Exchange, not on my list, but I didn't play it there.
Oh.
But we played the crap and got like really crazy. We played the crap out of Flip 7.
Yes,
Oh,
this game's so
yeah.
fun.
My God,
Yeah.
Flip 7 is amazing. I love this game so much.
rowdy
There
game.
was so much trash talking. I was watching people that are reserved. You know, like you've all really loosened up, right? Playing this game with us. I was watching people like really get into
hit
it.
me again.
So good. And in Flip 7, you're just trying not to bust. You get a card from 0 to 12. There's 1, 0, 1, 1, and then 2 2s, 12 12s.
yeah.
So when you pass, you're going to total up the cards that are in front of you. But if you draw the same number, if you're dealt the same number, you bust, you're out. There are second chance cards. There's point multipliers and things like that you can do. First one to 200 points. And you just keep playing. And if you can get if you can get 7 cards in front of you, you get 15 bonus points. So lots of player interaction. The press your luck aspect of it, so much fun. I'd never had a bad time playing this game. It was super fun. We were, again, the rowdy table. We always were. But I don't care. I immediately reached out to the marketing people at the op and was like, please, what do I need to do to get a copy of Flip 7? Because this game freaking rocks. And everybody that I played it with had an amazing time. So nice work.
We're so rowdy. I feel like if there's ever a convention in a library, we won't be invited to it.
Well, we're getting invited once.
Once.
Flip 7 was a blast.
Yeah.
All right, my number 2 is Clans of Caledonia.
Oh, you got to play it. That's right.
I got to play it. So this is now only the second time I've played Clans of Caledonia. I had a copy. I hadn't played it in a while. I got a learning game a couple years ago, and now this is becoming one of my all-time favorite
Hell
games.
yes, right on.
So this game, I see why it compares to Terra Mystica or Gaia Project, because you are gaining resources and you're using those to build buildings, which have a cost, and then you keep going until you pass. Then there's an income phase and you collect all your money.
Yes.
Except in this game, you're also producing goods. You can produce basic goods which are worth a certain amount of money. You can also take basic goods and refine them into even more expensive goods. But you add a market and you can manipulate the value of all of your resources. That's why this game stands out for me, because I love that in games. It's pretty straightforward to play, even though there's a lot to explain. It just has really good depth. There's tons of player interaction. I love these market manipulation games. I love building things and getting more income as the game goes on. I've got a lot of plays of this on BGA now. Clans of Caledonia is fantastic. Also, even though it's out of print, keep your eyes peeled, because Karma Games is reprinting this with a new expansion,
Right on.
either
Very
late
cool.
this year or early next year.
Very cool.
You have to check it out. It's awesome.
That's awesome.
I'm curious to know, so does that one require like the higher player counts? Does it benefit from the higher player counts the way Gaia Project does with, like, building close to people gets you more stuff?
Building close to people allows you to buy the good that building produces at a discount.
Okay.
So it does play better at higher player counts. I will say that Gaia and Terra Mystica, I will absolutely not play at 2 players, and I barely want to play it at 3. I've played this at 2 and still really enjoy it. I don't think it hurts you nearly as much as Gaia and Terra Mystica. That's one of the reasons I like it more. I like this theme more with Scottish clans. I just think that's cool. It's just really, really good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Also, you got to play with an amazing group too. So super cool.
Yep.
All right, I guess that puts us at number 1.
So I think for number 1 is going to be
Tumbling Dice!
Oh my God, tumbling dice. Bob, you go first. It's your turn.
This is a crazy, like, flick'em dice game. It's almost like Crokinole, but with dice. You've got these multi-tiered board where you're flicking these dice. They're rolling down this board, and there's these little pegs that can, like, knock them around. And you can try to, like, be the Canadian assassin and try to just take
Reed,
other people,
looking at you,
other
Reed.
people's dice out and not necessarily
Oh
trying
my
to score
gosh.
points. But yeah, and everybody has 4 dice. You can play individually, or we were playing in teams. And at the very end, once everybody's done flicking their dice, you see what your pit value is, multiplied by the multiplier on the tier you're on, add them up, and those are the points you get. And it's just ridiculous fun. We played it every night at the convention until the wee hours of the morning, and it was a blast.
Yeah, so shout out to Nikki, because she was the one that's like, we should play tumbling dice. And so then me and her, Brandon, and then like whatever poor soul was walking by,
Yeah.
whether it was Dave Rossi, whether it was Donnie, I mean, you guys, right? I mean, we were going it like just playing. And then we were like, after the first night, this is what
It
we're
was
playing
game
every
on.
night.
Yeah.
This is what we're playing every night. Mike, I'll let you tell your story, and then I'll tell my epic, crazy story at the end. If you've got anything, you got any specifics you want to talk about with it?
Not necessarily, other than just the camaraderie that this game creates.
Yeah.
It gets so competitive. You see people lining up their shot and creating this game has more strategy than you think, because, like, I was putting the 6 on top and trying to keep them up in the middle. Like, I was the tank. Like, I'm scoring guaranteed easy points here. You got to come after murder me first.
Yeah.
Whereas others took that strategy of the assassin and trying to take others out. I was just, it's just ridiculously fun.
Talk about being the rowdy table.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
So speaking of which, I was playing this on the last night. This was before we played Tiger and the Dragon. And, I was playing with some gentlemen that I had some beverages. I might have had a beverage or two myself. And we got crazy. There was trash talking. We divided up into teams. We went individuals. That was the night I went undefeated. And whether my team or me as an individual, we even had a guy who came in. He was a wild card. He's a friend of Goog's. Didn't know any of us, but clearly was very comfortable in his own skin. He comes and he is like, I want everybody versus me. I want to see how this does. So now keep in mind, I'm playing this game with two other, like there's me, there's this guy, not you, but this other guy, and then two game designers, right? And it's like, so I'm like, well, you guys are designers. We should be able to figure this out. And so we grabbed a bunch of the CuseCon dice to use as that guy's die. So he had 4 die, and then he had an extra die on each of our turns that he could activate at the beginning or the end of our turn to then go again. It was a 1-point game.
Wow.
It was like, we perfectly balanced this. Like, on our first try. Probably not. I mean, you should play it more than once to find out if you perfectly balanced it. But it doesn't matter. We perfectly balanced it. We were doing, it was like, if that die stays on the board, you got to do push-ups. You know what I mean? Like, it got crazy.
You're right.
So, like, I'm doing push-ups. The other guys are doing push-ups. We're yelling. It was insane. But the most important thing is that, like all of these games, the stories and the experiences and, like, the friendships that were made playing these games and, like, just the bonding and everything was the best.
Yeah.
And it all goes back to what an amazing environment that Mike Guigliano, Googs, put together, developed, cultivated with the crew that they do for CuseCon. It was just an amazing experience. I will not stop talking about it because it was so good. Any honorable mentions on experiences? I know I got like 2 things to mention, and then we can keep this short and sweet and sign off.
One of the things that they do there, which was one of the things that I used to see at Geek all the time, is they have the players wanted, teachers wanted.
Yes.
And so I saw somebody walking around with Sky Team and teachers wanted, and I'm like,
right
I
on.
love that game.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I would teach you. And so sat down, played it, taught it. They loved it. And then I went to go play something else. They ended up teaching it to somebody else, and so it was just fantastic. Like,
It's
just
all about being good ambassadors, right?
Yep.
Games you're passionate about, and then you see them share that love with other people. How about you, Mike?
I'll just talk real quick about another great game, and it's Fleet the Dice game.
It was really good.
I've been hearing great things about this game
Same.
for a while. I
Same.
enjoy roll and writes. I finally played it. It did not disappoint.
Nope.
I don't like roll and writes, and I thought it was great.
Every good roll and write needs to give you combos, and this game just has combos and spades. It just spills things on you. It's got multiple paths to victory, whether you want to fill up your boats with fish or go with a bunch of licenses that give you special abilities or build all those buildings in the wharf that can all score for you. I've now played this twice now, and I really enjoy this one.
Very cool. Very cool. So I'll just shout out like 3 things real quick. The people, right? So I got to play games with Donnie and Corey, like designers that I really like, and Yuval. Like, it was very fun. And Reed, but I played games with Reed before, but it was still really fun, and it was just great. Getting to meet Brandon and Nikki and hang out with them and played so many games with them. They were so
many.
welcoming and wonderful, and
super cool.
Like, it was immediately like ease of entry, right? Because I sit down and it's like, okay, I don't know these people, like, how cool is it? How me can I be?
Right.
They were immediately like, our comfort level was.
Will this fart joke go over well?
Yes, because I just farted.
That's what that smell was.
So that was amazing. There was a metagame going on with bottle caps, okay, which I was too occupied with regular board games to pay a lot of attention to. Googs, I'm sure it was great, but there's a flea market. And Wes and I brought some games to sell at the flea market, blah, blah, blah. Table next to us. Guy has a box. It just has a complete Lego Millennium Falcon in it. And it says, do you have bottle caps? Like, I will trade this for bottle caps. I have 4 bottle caps in my pocket. I'm like, there's no way I'm getting this thing. I go, so how much? Because I'm thinking I can just start selling my games for bottle caps. I can get that Millennium Falcon and bring home. I'm like, how many bottle caps does it take to get that Millennium Falcon? He goes, how many do you have in your pocket? And I was like, damn it. I like 4. He goes, well, it takes 4 bottle caps. I'm like, no take backs. I was like, Donnie was between us, and I go, Donnie, give that man my bottle caps right now and grab that box, like before anybody else can walk up and say anything. But the dude was super cool. He was very friendly. He was just gathering dust, and he just didn't want it anymore. And I was like, I'm going to take this home for my kid, and we're going to have a great time. And he's like, even better. So it just another amazing story and an amazing experience with just an awesome group of people. Mike, you should be very proud of what you've done there. And again, this show is just a big, hey, thanks, Mike, for having us come out. And we will be there until we're not invited. Because we're going to be the rowdy table.
Yeah, that's right.
That might do it. Anything else, guys, before we sign off?
Nope.
Where's CuseCon again?
Syracuse, New York.
Oh, Syracuse, New York.
Yeah.
Not a different Syracuse.
No.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, guys, for the Board Game Rundown, I've been Tim.
Bob.
Mike.
We'll see you next time.